Hey guys, not totally sure how the quality is going to be for this video, but I've done this before and it always looks worse for me on this laptop than it does for you guys on screen. I'm just checking it now. Looks okay. Whoop. Stop! My God. Okay. I am. I remember last time that I said I wanted to remember to stream on the laptop and use my phone to read the comments. So I'm trying to do that, but I'm just like, I can't remember for my life what. Hey, Constant Van Life, I'm glad you're here. I can't remember for my life how I set up the laptop. So I have it like propped up on the steering wheel, and I'm like hoping it's not going to fall off. But I truly cannot remember how I set this up. I remember it being such a comfortable setup, and I just cannot remember how I did it. I'm going to be clearing my throat. and I can't stop it. I don't know how to stop it. So I'm just going to try to mute it every time I have to do it. Hey, Gracie. Okay, let me get in this chat here. See, I'm not even doing it. I'm still reading it from the laptop. Okay, so here. Hey, Wild Tiny Life. Okay, guys, I'm so glad that you're here. Hey, Anna. I titled this Mind Control. A lot's been going on. Probably where the conversation. It's being a little weird for my tab. I want to talk about, I guess, why I haven't really been posting much, and also not that that's terribly interesting, but what I've been doing, I think, is probably interesting. Hey, Michelle. Hey, Fair147. You're in the backcountry and you have terrible connection. I'm sorry. Well, I don't know if my connection's any better because my laptop seems to be streaming fine, but my phone keeps doing weird stuff. So I don't know what's going on here. But it's fine. If you ask questions or something like that and you don't hear my answer, there's always the replay. So what does this say? Okay. I don't know. I can't read. I can't read and do this at the same time. Okay, so first topic, I guess, is I don't know. I'm choking on my own saliva. Okay. I left the office space and I am back full-time in the minivan. And I've been thinking about like long-term goals and stuff like that. I'm really like low energy today. Not sure if that's coming across, but I really am. It could be partly because of the weather, but in general lately in the last few days, this is how I've been feeling. Anyway, so I want to tell you some of the things that happened at the office. I was really happy to leave there. I was basically, I felt like I was being stalked towards the end. I don't know if it was really happening, but some weird stuff was going on because my connection's unstable. So I'm going to, it might be partly because of the weather, I'm going to see if I can move the car with the laptop propped up. Oh, this might be bad. I don't know if this is going to work, but so I might be out. Oh, yeah, that's great. That's a great, super great. Anyway, I'm going to try to reverse a little bit and move spots a little bit closer because since I started setting up the live stream, everybody beside me moved, which are the better spots for Wi-Fi access. And yes, those are my cats fighting each other, which is something that I'm gonna talk about, which they do. They just do that. No matter where they are, they just do that. One of them tries to sit on to cuddle, and the other one doesn't like it, and having a full-on battle over it. Oop. I'm not sure if I'm going to cut out while I'm doing this if I get too far away from the internet just doing this, but seems to be okay. All right. Okay. Hopefully, hopefully now the internet will be better. Sorry for anybody watching on the replay of all this ridiculousness. Okay. I think I was talking about, how's the connection? You guys hear me? Hey, Tanya. So is it good for you guys, the connection, or is it cutting out? Seems to be okay. Oh, it's good? Okay, great. Right. Okay. So when I'm just going to get really woo-woo on you guys. This channel, I know I haven't been posting very often the last couple days or weeks, whatever, and there's a good reason for it. I have been really recontemplating where I want to go with this channel, as I've talked to you guys about many times, about how I don't want to do the whole van life, the typical van life thing for the whole, like, very much longer anyways. So where am I going to go with this channel? What's interesting to you guys and what's in alignment with myself and who I am in my life that makes sense to make a channel out of? And so part of that obviously is, like alternative living, off-grid stuff or whatever, because I do plan to buy land, blah, 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 blah. In April, I was supposed to go to Arizona again. I was supposed to go to Arizona in April. That's not happening anymore. But instead, in April, when the weather changes, I'm going to be, thank you very much, Tanya. I appreciate that. I barely tried, honestly. I put gel in it, I wash it, put gel in it, and then I like dry it to the best of my ability with the car heater. Yeah, so when the weather is better, I do plan on doing more traveling. I plan on going north. So like Squamish, Whistler, Prince George, that whole thing, and then going to Alberta and coming back down. So like Jasper, Edmonton, and then Banff and whatever. And then from that point, it will start to get hot, and I'm not gonna want to be in the States when it's hot. So I'm probably gonna go back to BC and go north, or possibly Alberta and go north where it's cooler. You know what I mean? Go hang out in the mountains or something. I'm not really sure how it's going to play out. Things have been changing, and things could change pretty dramatically, pretty quickly anytime now. So that's the tentative plan. And I was telling you about what happened at the office, but I don't know how interesting it is. It's just the same stuff. When you hang out in a place too often, the locals, when people are bored in a neighborhood or curious and in whatever, they can often make up stories in their head. I talked about this in the other video. Yeah, I hope gas stays reasonable too. It's very possible that it won't. It's very possible that it won't. The reason I'm saying that, I mean, other than the fact that inflation and all that, is, so again, I'm going to get woo-woo on you guys. This is, so 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 3 is 7. So this is a 7-year. And when you look up the number 7 in numerology, it's an introspective year. And when you're going within and getting quiet and introspecting, that kind of insinuates that you're, oh my God, the car salon. It kind of insinuates that you might not have too much else to do. And I would assume that's because prices are going to go up. And if you're not able to travel, why wouldn't you be able to travel? Possibly gas prices being too high. There's also, other possible things, but I don't really hope not that they're going to happen. A lot of, and like, stop me if I'm like being boring or whatever, and just like tell me where you want me to go with this conversation. But I'm going to tell you honestly how I feel until someone's like, stop it. I don't want to hear about that anymore. Part of the reason I'm having like just this conversation with you guys and why I've been feeling weird and different and all that is, a lot of things that have been going on in the world. And so a lot of people on YouTube make a lot of money basically making content that helps people forget about the state of the world. It's like, um, essentially it's bread and circuses. And I understand the need to unplug. I do it too. I watch like stupid gossipy videos about YouTube celebrities or whatever, just like if I just can't deal with anything anymore, I can't think anymore, I'll be like, oh, let's see what Jeffree Star is doing. Or whatever absolute mind-numbing stupidity that I truly am not emotionally invested in. And so I get the appeal for that, but I also am conflicted because I don't want to contribute to more of people people's lack of awareness of what's going on and ignoring uh personal responsibility, I guess it is. Hey Cindy, travel slower and stay longer at destinations, Tanya. Yeah, yes, that if gas prices go up, that's what I would do. I'm definitely not going to like, the reason why I'm staying in one place right now is because it is winter and it's easy to forget where I am right now because it's really nice here. I mean, it's kind of chilly, but compared to the rest of the country, it is really nice here. There's no snow. I don't think I've worn my winter jacket in like since the snowstorm video. So what, like December or something? So like I'm wearing my running shoes and a sweater. It's great. It's great. And I forget that if I drive like 40 minutes away, I will hit snow. And when I hit snow, there's not much further I can go with these tires because everything's mountains around here. So maybe I can, but I'm scared to do it. The Sprinter had 4-season tires. It didn't have winter tires. And I drove that over the mountains in the winter. So I know it's possible, but I also know it's scary. And after the year that I had of basically kind of always on the edge of not knowing if I'm going to survive. And then, I mean, I always knew that I was going to survive. It's just, very stressful. And then before that, all the toxicity in my life. And getting to this point where I just want to relax. Like, I want to not be completely stressed out all the time. I want to feel safe. I want to feel safe. That's what it is. So as much as I would love to move around and like go travel, I don't feel safe driving this vehicle out on those roads. And instead of paying another few $100s or whatever it would be to get new tires and then also have to find a place to store these ones, which means probably paying for storage, which is probably like $150 a month that I don't want to spend just to store my tires. I'm just going to focus now on working on stuff. And then when the weather gets better, that's when I'm going to travel. So my videos suck now. My videos just suck now. And, I could put a whole lot of energy in trying to make better videos while I'm doing absolutely nothing interesting. Or I can just use that energy to do focus on other projects like the book and stuff like that. I do play instruments, Alex. I play guitar, piano, I sing, I write. I can pretty much pick up anything except for drums. I am pretty shit at drums. Alaska is, yeah, it's along the coast, but are you American, Tanya? to get to Alaska is still like a pretty far drive up those scary roads, and it gets really cold as you go north. And I'm just not equipped for it, especially in the winter. If it was the middle of the summer, maybe, maybe that'll be a thing I do in the summer. But again, feeling safe is like really high on my priority list right now because I need to heal my body. And something I recognized recently, a couple weeks ago while I was washing my hair, I looked at the hair because when you wash your hair, some of your hair comes out, right? And it's such a small amount of my hair that came out, and for some reason I had this flashback where I remembered how like 2 years ago when I would wash my hair, I'd have like a tennis ball worth of hair come out of my head, and I was always thinking, is this every time I washed my hair it would come out? And I remember thinking, I'm like, is this normal? Is this a normal amount of hair? Because it seems a little excessive, but I can't seem to remember how much hair used to fall out of my head. But now, the other day, when I looked at how much hair came out of my head, I'm like, okay, so that was not normal. I was losing my hair like crazy. And that's why I was gaining so much weight, because it was probably my thyroid wasn't working properly. And that, high stress, constant high stress does that to you. And I've improved my health a lot over the last few months or whatever. Like, I don't know if you guys remember the video I did, a day in my life in Nanaimo, where I was like very, very tired and in pain. My fibromyalgia was really bad. And now it's really, really not as bad. It's really not as bad. So yeah, I'm on the road to healing, and I would like to keep it that way instead of doing something stupid and going to get stranded in the middle of some rocky highway in the snow. Andrew says she has the same hair type. You have the same hair type, so yeah, you get it. I have to shut this. Oh wait, I'm supposed to be reading these on my phone. Never mind. I don't remember myself when I say things. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Hair looks me thank you. Yes, reasonable. Stay longer. Hey, thank you. Okay. Sorry, Wild Tiny Life. I'm only seeing your question now. So guys, I'm catching up. I'm sorry. Okay, so I have a question related to this when we get to question time. You can go ask questions anytime. All the time is question time. I'm just not always reading the chat, but I do try to go back and read it all. Tanya asks, how is your van doing? Are the kitties comfortable in a smaller space? They seem to be okay, because my cats are getting old, right? They don't do much. They sleep most of the day. So for them, it's probably fine. They just like, they sleep most of the day, and then they get up and they like move to a different location and sleep there. They look out the window. They eat, drink, poop, and whatever. And I take them for walks. But sometimes it's just hard to get them even out of the car. Like, they don't want to go for walks a lot of the time. So I'll like try to force them to do it, and they just don't, they're getting old. They don't want to do the same things as they used to when they were younger. And I personally am starting to feel pressured about the amount of space, because I'm just like, even if you don't do anything all day, cat, I would love to see you like sit out on the grass or something like that. Like, not, you know what I mean? So, and that was the original plan, but real life, there's just so many things. So this is one of the reasons why, in April I will do some traveling, and then in the summer we'll see what happens. I have tentative plans for the summer, which I won't talk about now. And then in the fall I would do the States, and maybe even, I don't know. I'm not even going to say anything, especially live on the live stream or whatever, because I still have, toxic people in my life that watch my live stream. So all I'm going to say is that, yes, I'm going to do some traveling this year, quite a bit of traveling this year, with, a couple of big breaks in between due to weather and other things that will probably be happening at those points in my life. And then by next year, I will most likely be in a very different living situation. So that is the current plan because and in those big breaks, like in the summer, ideally as I ideally I will get a place, like even if I'm renting, whether I buy something or I rent something or whatever it is, I would get a place so that we're not cooped up in the car in the summer because I would like my cats to have more space. It's I swear to you, it's mostly for them because that is like what makes me feel guilty. Even if it's an irrational guilt and they're fine, it's still how I feel. Um, oh, you're in Regina, okay. Oh, and Toronto, okay. Okay. Toronto. Hey, a mystic. Don't worry about being late. I was late. You're probably not that late. Tinfoil Hatter says, I gotta pause you, but do me a favor and keep on talking. Are you trying to confuse me? Because I'm confused. It worked. While Tiny Life says, what advice would you give another content creator like yourself on finding your calling? On finding your calling, okay, like channel topic, are we talking about niches? Clarifying your message and voice. Best advice I would give you is just to start doing stuff. Two things is to just start doing stuff. And no matter what you do, you're going to change it along the way. You're going to grow. You're going to realize what you like, what you don't like, who you are, blah, blah, blah. You're going to grow. You're going to change along the way. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to get it perfect. You're never going to get it perfect. And you're always going to change something. So whatever you do, just start. Everybody starts garbage across the board. Everyone starts garbage unless they're like, they have some like a company behind them, like Universal Studios or something like that. Everybody starts garbage. And you will always, as you progress, you'll always look back at your old stuff and be like, what was I thinking? It's just part of growth. And the other thing is to get to know who you are. And a lot of that means, I mean, there's life experience, but sitting with yourself, sitting quietly, meditating, being introspective, asking yourself questions, asking yourself what you want, and seeing how that feels, exploring options. How does this feel to me? And then if you're not even sure about something, just pursue one thing. Just be like I, if I'm trying to choose a car or whatever, and I'm like, I kind of think I want this, but I'm not sure. Go look at those cars. Go even in a parking lot, take a walk. Go look at those cars. Look up the specs. Look at what they're and take one for a test drive, whatever it is, and just see how it feels. And as you go through the process of testing stuff and trying stuff and what do I like and blah blah blah, that's how you start to figure out what you really want and who you really are, just through the process of doing. Think, listen, and also do. It's a two-step thing. You can't do it without the other step. I hope that makes sense. Solo van life seems to be healing for me. Um, I think it is. Here's the thing. All the obstacles that I faced this past year that seem to be things that you want to avoid, that seem to be tragic or whatever you want to call it, or drama, as some people call it. Oh, you're so much drama. You're always complaining. All you ever do is complain. Oh, I hate this channel. You're so stressful. Well, you know what? All of those things are the major catalyst for growth and healing that I've experienced. There's being away from the toxic people, which is an absolute must. It is one of the absolute biggest aspects of like contributing factors to healing. And then also going through the process of like when you're being abused or whatever, your abusers tend to uh bully you out of your own empowerment. They bully you out of your own feeling of competence. It's your self-esteem, but your own feeling of competence. So you start to feel like, I can't do anything, I'm not good at anything, blah, 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 kind of thing. I'm too dumb, I'm too this, I'm too that. And so it is when you try to go out in the world, it's so easy to stop yourself from doing things that you want out of pure fear, the what ifs, the I can't do it, and just these mental blocks. But when you're in a situation that's like life and death, and you only have the option to give up on yourself and potentially even die or whatever, have some terrible thing happen to you, or choose to figure it out, in that choice in itself, and then again through the process of figuring it out, you relearn your own confidence in yourself, your own empowerment in yourself, because you go through it and you're like, you know what? I actually freaking did it. I'm not that dumb. I'm not lazy. I'm not incompetent. I can do this. I can figure it out. I'm smarter than people say I am. I'm smarter than this, blah, 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 blah. So it's an absolute massive contributing factor to healing, is going through shit. And a lot of people tend to veer towards a safe, comfortable life. And I know I'm talking about safety, but a lot of people veer towards a comfortable life where they stay within the confines of their comfort zone instead of stepping outside of it, where all the growth happens. If you want something, it is because you don't have it. Okay. And where you exist, if you are comfortable, you are in your comfort zone. And if you want something, then that thing must only exist outside of your comfort zone. And if you are not willing to be uncomfortable and step outside of your comfort zone, you will never get the thing that you want. You have to be willing to face that discomfort, face your fears to get the thing that you want. And I hear a lot of people complain, not a lot of people, often, but few people, put it that way, that complain when I say things that sound like things are too easy. And they'll be like, well, you don't understand. I got blah and money and blah, 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 blah. And I understand that people have legitimate, real obstacles. I've had real obstacles. I understand that some people are co-parenting with narcissists. They have disabilities. They have real obstacles, real limitations or challenges that they need to face. But I also know that if you really want something, that you can get it. It might take a while, but if you really want it, you only have two choices: accept defeat or make it happen. Anytime, accept defeat or make it happen. So I don't know, other than that, I don't know what people expect me to tell them. Oh, you're right. Your life is hard and you should just give up on yourself. Oh yeah, all those things that you wanted for yourself, or like having a better life, or being happy, or not being depressed all the time and not wanting to kill yourself. Oh yeah, never mind all that, because your life's too hard, so you should just give up. Yeah. Do you think I'm going to tell you that? Of course I'm not going to tell you that. I will never tell people that, because it's not true. Back to the questions. I think this video is going to get demonetized. You're not late. You're not too late. We started pretty late, Laura. Thanks, Andrea. They will hopefully be really good videos. I know I plan to do some cool stuff when I do travel. Tanya says, nice update on the kitties. Nice that your cats get to go outside and enjoy nature when possible. I don't know about getting to enjoy nature. I mean, taking a walk in the park. You know what I mean? It's not like there's not really anywhere naturey beyond the park where I am. I would have to go up to Squamish. Like, I got the border on one end, and I got, the coldness on the other end, and other provinces on one end, and then the ocean on the other end. So you're in like a square where you can't go anywhere until the weather changes. And so, yeah, I can't even go to Squamish because it's too cold, and I don't want to take a chance on the roads. That's what I said before. Better than being cool. Well, I tell you what, Tiny, they get to look out the window and they see some cool stuff, and there's always birds out right outside, and so they do get to see some cool stuff. I think it takes so long to make money off YouTube. It's a full-time grind. It is. It does. I mean, it takes as long as it takes. Some people, it goes a lot fast. Some people, their channel just blows up. And I, I understand the algorithm. I make good thumbnails. I make hooks. I make, people have told me repeatedly that they like to binge watch my content, or when they first find my channel, they binge watch my content. And um, my I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, so my click-through rates are high, my watch time is high, and so I have all the elements that would make my channel blow up, and yet my channel has not blown up. My channel is stagnant in terms of growth. And I truly believe that it's for a reason, because if my channel blew up before I was making the content that I want to make long term, then it would be a really hard shift. So I truly believe that because I already knew that I was going to be shifting in a different direction, that this was like my manifestation was to stagnate my channel growth until I start making the content that I'm meant to make long term. That is my belief. But yeah, in terms of it truly depends on your situation. It depends on your content and your niche. Some niches are easier to grow than others. It depends on how much work you put into it. It depends on your thumbnails and your titles and your ideas. It depends on a lot of aspects. You probably shouldn't rely on YouTube being your income. So yeah. Yeah, once your channel gets to a certain point, you make a lot of money doing something really fun. So, yeah. Thank you, Gracie. I believe it, Laura. Thank you, Jody. This is the content I need. Oh, thanks, Wild Tiny Life. Um, have you thought about going towards the Fraser Valley? There's some really cool spots around Mission. I have. I'm wondering if I haven't been. I feel like maybe. Oh, that's more north than I have been. I have thought about it. Again, I'm not going anywhere until the weather changes. And then I have a specific route that I want to take to bang out some locations. And then for the summer, we'll see what happens. Thank you, Zia. I don't know if you remember me mentioning it, but my car broke. I do remember you mentioning it, Laura. I'm just gonna get a minivan or an SUV. Meanwhile, I got a job. Oh, right on, Laura. That's right, girl. Get it. Solve them problems and get what you want. Get the life that you want, girl. It's okay. Okay. So I just reached the bottom of those. I forget what I was talking about. I remember that I was talking about at the beginning about how, and you can ask me whatever you want if you want to ask me anything. But aside from, the travel and whatever else, okay? So that's what's up with the travel. Not much going on until the weather changes. And yeah, I was saying that I don't want to be like another bread and circuses channel. I want to be a channel that contributes to people's lives in some way. And so that's what I was working out, how I was going to approach that and what kind of content I was going to make. And I felt pressure to, get out my videos weekly. And I'm like, I need a good idea, but I can't go anywhere. But so I was working on an idea that I had. It was a good idea. And then I got closer to time of making the video, and I was just way too tired. And I'm just like, I can't do it. Um, and I felt inspired to do something different. So I am finishing my book. I'd say another couple weeks and I can send it to the editor. If you don't know what I'm talking about, a I wrote a book called Unconditional Self-Love about how I learned to love myself. And what I mean by that is that obviously I had, in my opinion, my non-diagnosing opinion, I had two narcissistic parents growing up, and I only recognized that my mother was also a narcissist a couple years ago, whatever it was, during the lockdowns. So over the course of my life, I had been emotionally and psychologically destroyed, essentially, with terrible trauma, eating disorders, zero self-esteem, zero confidence, PTSD, or complex post-traumatic stress disorder, whatever, maybe both for all I know. Just a lot. It was a lot, and I didn't have anyone around me to really be a positive influence in that sense. Here and there, yes, but for the most part, when you grow up in a toxic environment, everyone around you is toxic, and then you learn toxic habits, and you attract other toxic people. Predators can smell it on you, and you attract other toxic people. And so even after you leave your nuclear toxic situation, you get into other toxic situations. And I dated many a narcissist for very short periods of time. And I was extremely codependent. I was extremely desperate to be loved by anyone, because I didn't love myself, and I had absolutely no idea how to get love from anyone else. I didn't know how to get into a relationship or how they worked or what to expect from people, except that what I learned from my parents. So I learned that it was completely dependent on how I looked, and if I could attract that person or arouse that person to be provocative enough that they would be attracted to me. And it was such a head game, because I was pretending to be someone that I really wasn't for a very long time, and I didn't understand the world. That's why I see a lot of these comments on relationship videos, even the relationship advice videos themselves. Now that I know what I know, looking back and remembering who I used to be or how I used to think when I was younger, and how I used to eat up these videos of giving me advice on how to date. And they would also be extremely depressing, because they would tell me things that I knew in my heart and my soul were not true, but they were in that credible, I know what I'm talking about. I'm a relationship coach, so therefore you listen to them, position of authority. So you listen to them, and it's depressing. They'll say stupid ass shit like how different men are from women in terms of how they view love and sex and all of these things. And for a man, you first of all, you have to respect them, even though they didn't respect you back or didn't earn their respect. You just have to automatically respect them, because that's how men are only attracted to you. They'll only love you if you respect them, even if they don't earn that respect. And this stuff about like, how men's brains operate is that you have to arouse them. And when they're aroused, then all you have to do is just not sleep with them and let them be aroused for long enough that the thing in the brain travels from the sex part all the way to the love part, and then they'll be in love with you. It's like this ridiculous things that people say online, acting like we're two completely different species. And now we're finding out that none of that is true. And so when your heart and your soul is telling you something's wrong with this, why does this make me feel really bad? Why does this feel wrong? Is because it is wrong. And then to watch these people leave comments, like the incel community leaving comments on these videos about how all women think like this, all women want this, all women want is a chat, women only want, And then you'll have videos where they'll only show the worst case scenario for women, like the narcissist, the extremely insecure, the ones that would have been like myself, like 20, 30, well, 20, how old am I? 20 years ago, 20 years ago. And then people using that as an example of how all women are, like the gold diggers and the whatever. It's like, no, women are not like that. And men are not like who they're being presented to be either. It is all clickbait shit that people do because they're selling something that, people make money selling solutions. So they create the problem in your mind, they exacerbate the problem in your mind, and then they sell you this overpriced BS quote unquote solution to it. So you want love, you want a relationship. So what do they tell you to do? Do they tell you, well, you have to learn to respect yourself. You have to know what you want. You have to understand to have boundaries and to be selective in your partner and to express yourself as what you want to attract so that the person that you want to attract will find you. And then you have to, create a relationship based on similar values and whatever. No. That's not what they tell you. No. What they tell you is you have to go find some chicks, and then you have to criticize them. And the first thing you do, you have to make sure they got a nice TNA, and then you go and look what their mom looks like, right? Because if their mom looks like something that you don't want to sleep with, then you don't want to marry her, because she's just gonna get old. She's gonna look like her ugly mom. So that's all you gotta look at, because women, that's what they're there for, is to make babies and to get your dick hard. And that's like, people are given this horrible information, and the men are getting the exact same bad dating advice that I was getting when I was young, and that women are still getting today. And that's why so many people are unhappy and single, because they're like, oh, okay, so all women are gold diggers, and all women want to chat, and the only thing that women care about is this, and the only thing that I'm supposed to look for is this. And women are definitely going to divorce me and take all my money because they're all a bunch of users and narcissists. So I shouldn't get married. I should definitely sleep with like all the women in the world. And if a woman has a body count of over 2, then she's a hoe. And okay, I got it. Now, can I be happy? No, I can't. Why? Because what was really going to make me happy is an authentic connection with another human being, and I'm not getting that. All right, that was my rant. So that was me. I was that lost, I guess, female version of, I was a pick me. Okay. And so I get it from that. I get it from all sides. I understand it from like different perspectives. I'm gonna read the comments and come back to this. I hear you about your channel thoughts. I felt the same way. I think you're meant for so much more. Oh, thank you. Most of those relationship gurus are single. Absolutely. Most of those relationship gurus are single. That is an absolute truth. Yeah. Wonder why. Thanks, Anna. Dating world sucks now. Men and women have been divided on purpose. Absolutely, Laura. That's exactly what's going on. Like all the other divisions. Absolutely. Part of the depopulation program is to have men and women hate each other. And there's two sides to that. Okay. So I think I've said this before. I will say it every time that I have the opportunity to, is that when they throw a rock at us, we pick it up and we use it as a hammer and we build a house. Okay. They use something against us, and then we turn that thing that they tried to use against us into a tool, and we use it for something productive and constructive. So just because something's going on doesn't mean that their intended outcome is going to be the outcome. That we have a lot more power than we give ourselves credit for, and that we are, I believe that we are absolutely winning. And I just believe that it's a turbulent process to get to the end zone. But there was an example I was going to give. Okay, so in Okay, I consider myself a feminist, and I hate it when people are like, "Oh, dumb feminists. You're just a dumb feminist," because they don't understand what the word feminist is. The feminist is not anti-men, it is anti-patriarchy, and the patriarchy hurts men as well. And if we could all understand what the words mean and what we're trying to accomplish here, we would know that we're not each other's enemies. But there is this modern, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? I forget. Anyways, there's this modern version of feminism that is, hashtag kill all men kind of thing. And I don't support that at all. I don't think any classic feminists do. And anyone with a rational mind would know that a lot of the beliefs that are being pushed on us under the guise of being feminism is not feminism. It is misandry. And so that is an issue. And then we have, like you said, like this perpetuated division between us. But for a long time, women have been treated very poorly. And yes, men have their own obstacles and challenges, and they have their own, how they're less likely to get custody and stuff like that. Okay, they have their own challenges based on gender, and I absolutely understand that. However, so just in the whole dating aspect, so women are taking their power back now, and they're like, this may have been uh instigated for the purpose of separating the genders, but what's happening is we picked up the rock and we're creating a tool. So yes, a lot of women are like, I'm not tolerating any more crap. I don't want to get married. I want to buy 6 cats and I want to go live on a ranch by myself and blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to have a great life and I'm going to be a photographer and I'm going to go do all this stuff. And they're having a great life. And there is an aspect of that, like, God bless you. Do whatever you want to do. Make sure that you're doing, what you're really passionate about and your soul calls you to do. And just try not to get manipulated and fall down some misguided purpose that wasn't really in your true calling, but what the system was trying to convince you that you want to do, right? And so yes, they want that, they may have pushed us in that direction where we don't want to get married and blah blah blah. But in that process, there will also be great healing that comes from that, because it does take repercussions for a lot of people to understand that there's a lesson to be learned and start changing their behavior. So a lot of men who really underappreciated and undervalued the women in their life, or are generally take women for granted, or generally disrespectful or abusive or whatever, are understanding now that there are repercussions, that they can't just consistently treat women like they are just these disposable slaves and whatever, and that they're the ones that are going to end up alone and sad if they don't step it up. It's a process of learning. I hope that makes sense and that people aren't taking that in the wrong context, because I'm not anti-men. I don't think it's all men, absolutely not. And I just think that this is a process of growth that we're going through right now in society. And I do believe that a huge aspect of that was faded, that is going to help make sure that we come back to center, is the twin flame dynamic. And I know that it is real, because as someone who has experienced that for the last 4 years, did I pronounce all my consonants? Someone who has experienced that in the last 4 years, I know firsthand that it absolutely does exist, because I was the biggest skeptic going before I got into it, and through the entire process of it, I was the biggest skeptic. And it took me 3 years to accept that it was real. Of the craziest things happening to me to prove to me that it was real. So, yeah. I digress. Okay. What are we doing here? Authentic connections are very rare these days. Authentic connections are very rare these days because of everything that I just talked about. people are, if a person is being an inauthentic version of themselves, they can't have an authentic connection with anyone else. And so not only do we have to become the authentic version of ourselves, but then other people also have to become authentic versions of themselves so that we can connect with them. And it was through my becoming the authentic version of myself that's how I met my person. Not that not that it's ended well so far, but whatever. Oh God. Okay. Um. What's okay? Let's pray it's not people. Wait. Let's pray it's not people need to wake up. I'm not totally sure. Enough people, maybe. I think that's what you meant. Enough people wake up. Yes, I agree. Oh, hey, what's up there? I watched one of your older videos last night, actually. Cool, traveling gamer. I don't know where that is. I'm not going to reread that just in case. I'm not allowed to talk about that here because, yeah, there's some specific things we're really, really not allowed to talk about here. Okay. Like you get a warning every time you sign into your AdSense. If you talk about this, we'll take your channel away, is basically what they say. Okay. Okay. Yes, the patriarchy has screwed up women and men. It shows up as women being more vocal because it is necessary for us to bring the balance back for both men and women. Laura says we need the rise of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Agreed. A mystic says exactly. I said exactly too. What's my definition of confidence? KJ and the Ray. What's my definition of confidence? My definition of, I mean, how else would you define confidence? Is your belief in yourself. It's self-belief. When you are, okay, so there is the belief in your own capability in general. And some people can say confidence is what you exude when you're around other people and you seem to be a strong person. But that strength can be either an act that you put on, that I do believe that acting as if you are confident can play into your becoming truly confident. But if people perceive you as confident, they're perceiving you as someone who exudes strength. And someone who is strong is at their core, they have a belief in their own self capability. You trust yourself, that you are good enough, let's say. I think that's a good definition off the top of my head. Does that answer your question? Sometimes it takes going through dealings with a narcissist in order to come about to your self-worth and gain more confidence in yourself, at least in my experience. Yeah, I agree that we have these experiences that are perceived as negative or painful, is like what I said before about my year being so dramatic. And what it did was it was a huge catalyst for healing. When we face those painful situations, it's a catalyst for healing. I'm not saying that we should all get into an abusive relationship so that we can benefit from the healing process. I'm not saying that we don't get traumatized from it, but I am saying that going through those experiences and then healing from them does lead to strength. It is a catalyst for growth. It is, for a lot of people, a horrible thing to go through. It breaks you. I don't know what words to use. I truly don't. I just know that it depends on how you perceive the world, what you're going to believe about that. Because I know that there are people who believe that when you're abused, it is not good and that no one should ever be abused and there is no positive outcome in it. I know there are people that don't see it as like a lesson or growth or whatever, and I understand. I I can become, what's the freaking word I'm looking for? I can try to understand that perspective. No one wants to be subjected to that kind of shit. No one wants to choose that kind of thing. But I also know that it ends well if you choose growth, if you choose to heal and you choose yourself and all that. That things that, I don't know if I'm making any sense right now. Things that you wouldn't have known you were strong enough to do if you didn't walk down that path. Does that make any sense? I don't know. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'm trying. If you're ever in the States, come on down to Tennessee. I will totally come down to Tennessee. You're the hostess with the mostest. All right. I have heard some good things about the southern states. Um well, a friend of mine recently asked me if I wanted to go to Louisiana, and I'm like, heck yeah, let's do it. And we never planned it. So I don't know what's going to happen. I will likely go to Florida at some point, and it's really just I'm going to see how things play out. Anyways, it's very very easy to. It's very. This is off the Tennessee topic, so I don't want you to think that I'm talking. My brain just switched gears. It is so easy to offend people these days that sometimes I find myself, I'm like pausing as I'm speaking, picturing all the people who are going to get offended by what I'm about to say. Then I look up to the viewers and I see the viewers drop. I'm just like, cool, I already did it. I already messed that one up. And my intention is to not miscommunicate an idea. I don't want people to be offended for the wrong reasons. I don't want people to think I'm saying one thing and then rage quit because they think I'm saying that thing. But in reality, I was saying something else that makes perfect sense, but I was saying it terribly, not communicating my idea. And so that is what I'm most concerned about, because there are some ideas that I'm plenty willing to communicate no matter how many people get offended, because we live in a time where cult mentality is absolutely saturating the world. And I'm trying to learn why. And have been, I've been part of that. I've been subjected to that too. And I'm trying to check myself before I wreck myself most of the time. I can't play violin, but I mean, I've never tried. I've never picked up a violin, but I probably could figure it out pretty quickly. I'm generally pretty quick at any string instrument. Yeah, so we live in a society where people are just generally have a cult mentality. And I don't know if I'm just now waking up to it and it's always been like that, or if it's just recently, or if it's only getting really bad. Yes, I can sing opera. Or if it's just getting really bad lately. But that is probably one of the biggest issues in society, because when you have a cult mentality, what's going on is it's like you had a weakness. Either you felt bad about yourself or you felt like you were in fear, which is, most of the reason these days. And someone tells you something that alleviates that fear or makes you feel better about yourself, or whatever. And therefore, you want to believe it because it makes you feel better. Either you suffer and struggle, or you accept this to be true. So you accept this belief to be true. And that opens the gate for all these other things to, be collected into your belief system, your subconscious or whatever. And when you have a belief, especially a belief that alleviates pain like that, you don't want to give up that belief. So then when someone else tells you the opposite, or gives you some information that is not in alignment with that belief, that doesn't support that belief, even if it's factual, even if it's truth, you will have a hard time even opening up to perceive it, to witness that information. You that is when you feel cognitive dissonance, the discomfort that you feel when there are two opposing thoughts, they don't support each other, and your brain really wants to hold on to one, even though the evidence is showing you that something else is true that you don't want to believe. And so you reject that idea full force instead of trying to see what is true. You choose the belief you already have, the one you want to keep, and you push against the new information. And that is what people have been doing on all sides of this. And that's the bigger problem, is that there are sides, obviously manufactured. And so people think they're on teams, and they think they're on the right team. And everybody thinks they're on the right team, whether they're on some political team or they're on the literal. Nothing irks me more than watching any news station on any side and how they're complaining about a literal side. Oh, well, those people on the right, or oh, those people on the left. Oh, they're just far right. They're just far left, or whatever it is, right? Just like, do you hear yourself? You're just blanket statement. If someone believes X, then they're all lumped into this little bucket that you named the right or the left, which is just, it took me forever to even know what those terms meant. I didn't even know until like 6 months or a year ago. And so they divide you. You have one belief. That means that must mean that all of your beliefs line up with everybody else in this bucket. They put you in this bucket. That's where you go, in the bucket. And you start to identify with that bucket because these people are attacking you for your belief. And these other people who have the same belief are your friend. They're your ally. And so you want to hang out with these people who have similar beliefs to you. And then you realize, in order to stay friends with these people, you have to start adopting all their other beliefs. And that's the cult. So, if you're like, I don't want to be too specific, because I don't want people to think I'm targeting one group or whatever it is, or offend anybody who believes these things. But if you believe that free speech is important, you go here. And then that means that you're, that you also believe in this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And half of these beliefs don't make any fucking sense. And the other team has opposing beliefs. And so now you hate each other, and no one actually looks at the truth, because the truth is here. The truth is wherever people have the ability to logically analyze the information, take a minute and breathe and go, I wonder what is really happening here. Are there parts of the story that I don't know? Is there information that I'm missing? Is this true for everyone in this situation? Are there any nuances that we should take into consideration? Or is it just, if you think abortion is okay, then you're a murderer. You think it's okay to have a pew-pew, then you're an idiot who wants all babies to in school to be offed. And it's just absolute ridiculousness. And if people can't get their head out of that cult mentality and calm down emotionally and take a minute to try to see what is true, then they're not going to see reality. And I was just talking to, do I really want to talk about this? There are some real cults in the world. Like, okay, no, it's all applicable, but I mean like the Scientologies of the world, right? That you can't say on this platform. The Scientologists in the world. Actually, some people do talk about it openly, so maybe you can. there are real cults of that at that level that exist in the world. And when you, like the ones with the weirdo leader, in general, there are three aspects to what a cult is. Am I losing people? Are you guys interested in this stuff? Oh, it's 3:33. In general, there are three aspects to defining a cult. However, in this day and age with the internet, things can be a little bit different. And I'm going to give a good example of it. I wrote a book called OccuCult, which I took off the internet because it was written poorly and I want to fix it up. But the premise was true. I just did not support it properly. But the premise was that I was in the Occupy movement, which at the time I did not know that I was just being brainwashed, and the whole thing was most likely funded by Soros, and it was all this like communist thing. I did not know, and when I came out of it, I started having all these revelations about cults because I was in one. So if that wasn't bad enough, after I came out of that, so I'm living with my toxic parents who in of themselves are a narcissist cult, right? When you're living with a narcissist, you're in a little tiny cult of whatever, 2, 4, whatever people. Then I go into the Occupy movement, which is its own cult. And then I get out of the Occupy movement because it was shut down. And this woman I met towards the end targeted me and brought me out into the middle of the woods on 6 Nations. And we lived in a shack with no running water and no electricity for however many weeks. And she was the creator of all life incarnate. So I know what it is to be inside of a cult. And when I started researching my book on the Occupy movement, that's when I started to realize, oh, that's what a cult is. That's also when I figured out what narcissism is, because cult leaders are narcissists. And so I started learning about narcissism. And I'm like, oh, my dad's a narcissist. Okay. All right, cool. Life-changing experience that led me to where I am now. And in the Occupy movement, people could say, oh, it's not a cult, because the three main components of defining a cult are a leader. The second one is thought reform. And the third one is exploitation. And because the Occupy movement was a leaderless movement, they're like, how could it be a cult? There's no leader. There's no leader. It couldn't be a cult. But yes, it is a cult. And perhaps the ideology was the leader, or, that's something to be examined, but it absolutely was a cult. Heavy duty thought reform, heavy duty exploitation. Everything else was very deeply cultish. So the definition of what is a cult, I believe, is changing as the world changes. So some cults may or may not have a leader, but most of them do. And so it's easy to see that a lot of these ideological cults are actually real legitimate cults led by one politician or another. And if people could see reality, and here's where everybody unsubscribes, and I don't care, this is the truth. Both sides are cult leaders. And people are going to be like, no, only Orange Man's a cult leader. Or, no, Orange Man's here to save the world. No. Neither of those things are true. Neither of those things are true. I personally have expressed to you before, like, that I had one political preference over the other, but am I right, or am I just biased because of what I'm experiencing? Because neither of them are good people. And it's so hard. I know it. I know how it feels. I truly, strongly believe that one particular politician was going to change things for the better. I truly saw him on a pedestal because I was in the cult. And when you start to think rationally, you recognize when you're putting someone on a pedestal, there's something wrong. No politician is ever here to save us. Is Pierre Poilievre the new cult leader? Maybe. I love his his platform. I love what he stands for. Is he the new cult leader that's going to just, drive us further into the Agenda 2030 or whatever it is? Maybe. According to everything that's come to pass before this, it's going to be a definite yes, because before him, it was O'Toole. And O'Toole is, if you guys aren't from here, you don't know what I'm talking about. So you guys know who we have for prime minister. We have Trudeau, through jokes, okay? And he is part of the World Economic Forum, blatantly. And then we had O'Toole, which was the controlled opposition. So both sides are are each other's controlled opposition, right? You don't get the good guys and the bad guys. They're all the bad guys. They're all the bad guys. So even if you saw what happened with Orange Man's VP or whatever else. So the whole system in itself is set up to keep us enslaved and drive us towards a specific agenda. And as long as you keep believing in the system prevails. The slave system continues to prevail as long as you believe in it. And so they will always have that option for you to vote for that you think is finally going to be the one. This one's finally going to change things. They're finally a good person, and they're finally going to save the world, and they're finally going to make things easier for us, and they're finally going to be the ones to end the slave system. If you vote for the slave system, you're going to have more slave system. So I guess this goes back to what I was saying when I started this live stream, that I didn't want to be more bread and circuses. I want to make content that enlightens and inspires people. And up until lately, I thought that it was good enough if I make videos that show people how to believe in themselves enough to choose to overcome their obstacles and choose the life that they want. And I think we're getting to a fever pitch. I think we're getting to the point where if we don't just tell the blatant truth, and in a way, to not push against people's current belief systems, ideally, to not create more cognitive dissonance or resistance, where people dig themselves deeper into their current belief system, that we help people learn how to think instead of what to think. That's probably more important right now than teaching people that they too can buy a van and travel the world if they want to. I want you to know that you can. I want you to know that you can and should chase your dreams, no matter what you think that your perceived limitations and obstacles are. And I'm going to keep persisting on that message. But at this point in life, in time, where we're on the brink of a real or faked WW, and we have these fake reports of UFOs in the news, when in reality, they're actually just destroying the food supply in every possible way that they can. The way that things are going right now, how within the next couple of years, that food is going to be a lot harder to get. And a lot of people are going to die of starvation if they don't understand what's coming and they don't prepare, and we don't, become aware. Like, hold on a second. Stop. Please. Please, please. Cut it out. You can't sit in the same place, guys. Hold on. Oh. I know it looks like I'm being rough, but I'm pulling her by her scruff. Look at the camera. Look at the camera. So anyways, my point was, at this point in time, if we don't start really becoming aware, this is what waking up, okay? The term waking up has been misused for however long now. In some contexts it's applicable, but I'm saying that it's become a cult term. It's become a term of us against them. It's become a term of either you believe in Orange Man, or you're asleep, or you're a sheep, or either you're You understand what I'm saying? That's not what awake is. Being awake is having conscious awareness, having the ability to think, having the ability to accept new information and to examine it. Is this true? Is this not true? Not just be like, well, if you're not on team orange or team red or team blue or whatever it is, then you're asleep. That's not awake. And if we don't wake up collectively, we're not going to win this. And I do believe that we will win this, but we need to wake up now. It's time to wake up. So I'm going to tell the truth. There are a lot of people on this channel who watch my channel, and some people that I've met in person get upset when I talk about stuff like this. I don't promote any specific political party. I hope that's understandable. Okay? I don't represent any specific ideology, and I hope people get that. My message is be open to information and logically examine it. Don't just automatically shut it out because it's not in alignment with your team. Don't just shut it out because the other team is saying it's a thing. Don't just shut it out because a religion told you not to look at it or that it's bad or it's evil or whatever it is. What are you doing? Okay. Take in information and ask yourself what is really going on here. But there are people on this channel and otherwise that get really pissed off when I talk about this stuff. And I don't care. What they don't understand, what they're not aware of, is that 99% of people in this lifestyle, 99%, any vehicle dwellers, alternative living people, off-grid living people, 99.9% of them think like me. And they also made the same choices as me in certain aspects. But they don't talk about it because people get pissed off. I'm going to talk about it because I give 0 Fs. Because I prefer to speak my truth, speak the truth, than to be what other people want me to be. Wanting us all to be vegan, Anna. Yes, that's also a thing. I was vegan for many years, and the reason I stopped being vegan, I'm not telling anyone that they shouldn't be vegan, okay? You want to be vegan, if vegan works for you, heck yeah, do it. I support you in doing it if you feel that it's right for you. I was vegan for many years, and I kept falling off the wagon, and I didn't understand why, and all this stuff. And eventually I had to concede to the fact that my body, and it could have just been due to my circumstances of being high stress and needing different nutrients or whatever it was. But, my hair was freaking falling out, guys, in tennis ball size clumps. So I had to figure out what it was. And when I started eating meat again and animal products again, I started feeling better. When I cut out my carbs and started eating more animal products, I felt dramatically better. And again, I'm not trying to convince anyone to not be vegan or say that veganism is wrong. I'm just saying that it doesn't work for everyone in every circumstance. And telling us that we should eat bugs, that we're not going to let that happen. Okay? When I really decided to stop being vegan a couple of years back was when I started prepping. I started planning for potential outcomes and learning about homesteading, and I recognized that to truly live off-grid, you need a certain ecosystem, and in that ecosystem, it is dependent on animals. And I finally understood, the way certain things. Anyways, should we treat animals like we do in the conventional whatever the word is, systems like the McDonald's cow farms and stuff like that. No, heck no. We need to abolish that. Heck no. But does that mean that ranchers with like their free range chickens and stuff like that should be shut down too? No, absolutely not. They're a big part of saving us. Okay, where were we? Where was I? Okay. Speaking your truth is how you find your people. Absolutely. You know what? A mystic, it repels those who don't belong in your life. I think that's actually another aspect of why I'm doing this. When I was thinking about where I wanted my channel to go and this kind of thing, and I just want to be myself and talk about what I truly believe in, and let people that are in alignment with what I believe in find me. There are other people who talk about this stuff very openly, and they have massive followings online, which tells me that there are other people who are also interested in this. So I should be able to openly talk about this. The only difference is that I'm not on a team. I'm not actually on a team. People might think I'm on a team. They might assume because of certain beliefs that I have that I'm on a team. I am not on a team. I am on Team Humanity. Do I get absolutely aggressively frustrated with certain people who are not willing to listen because they're so stuck in their own beliefs? Yep. Do I raise my voice in the middle of a Tim Hortons because someone is clearly brainwashed? Yeah. I'm still on Team Humanity. Yeah. I speak with conviction about important issues to you. When people get offended, take it do people take it personally? How do I handle cancel culture? I don't handle cancel culture. I try not to participate in cancel culture. It's nuanced. Again, the teams have their perspectives on cancel culture. Either you are for it or you're against it. Either everybody who doesn't follow the narrative should be canceled, or cancel culture is the worst thing ever. We should abolish it. How about what happened to boycotts? Remember when boycotts were a thing, when they were an effective way? I can't do anything. They're in the back and they're too far. I can't do anything. They're fighting. Stop! Get it out! Y'all don't need to go back there. Yeah. And what happened to boycotts? They were used to be an effective way to fight back against corruption. And now we're like, no, cancel culture is banned. Or, yes, everybody should be canceled. If you say the wrong thing and you wear the wrong color or whatever, then you should be canceled and destroyed from place the earth. None of that is balanced. None of that is nuanced. So, yeah, that's my take on cancel culture. Lori says, I just got here. I was hoping to see you soon. Oh, sorry, Lori. Things got changed. And they got changed. I do believe it's part of whatever I'm manifesting. Thank you. I'm sure the movement was infiltrated. It was, if it was real at all. Yeah, no, it was highly, we're talking about the Occupy movement, was highly infiltrated, highly manipulated. Anyway, I had my head thoroughly effed with in that, like, thoroughly, like, they had professionals in there to thoroughly screw with me. And I'm talking about like making me stay up all, like, serious mind control tactics used against us, keeping us up all night so we can't think straight, and then making us do stuff in the morning so we can't object because we can't even think straight. Just crazy things like that. These were professionals in there. So that's when I saw that Antifa stuff. I'm like, oh, or even BLM. I'm like, oh, I know what this is. I've been there. I find it amazing that people will read every book out but there, but fail to study the Bible. Okay, well, here's the thing, Tidris. Let's talk about this, Tidris. I'd like to know more about your uh, cult mentality equals worshiping idols. Yes, it is, but so are people who claim that Jesus is God. So I'd like to talk about that, what your opinion is on that, because, and this again is going to offend people, but again, I don't care. I am about how to think, not what to think. I am not anti uh, Jesus. I'm just, what is Jesus really? Who was Jesus really? I don't think that Yeshua ever intended to be put on such a high pedestal to have people all over the world claim that he is God, because that in itself is the same thing as every other cult, having one omnipotent leader. And if you do study the Bible, it says multiple times if you are going to use the Bible as your reference to what is true, in the Bible itself, Jesus refers to God as separate from him on multiple occasions. And it just blows my mind how people don't see that. And then they'll be like, yeah, but the Bible. Did you read the Bible? The guy that I was arguing with in the Tim Hortons the other day, the line that he said was, or one of the things that was just like, what are you talking about? I said what I said about how Jesus said himself that he was separate from God, that he was not God. It doesn't. The message has been so bastardized. It's been so warped that people who are very invested in the church, which is a cult institution that R-words children and protects the R-worders of children and puts and is misogynist and all kinds of other stuff. That's the quality of that institution. And people who get indoctrinated in that institution, then they say that, oh, the Bible, and Jesus is God, and Jesus is our cult leader. Okay. The line that the guy said was, Jesus said, there is no way to God except through me. And I said, exactly. You just said that Jesus said himself that he is separate from God, that you are trying to get to God through Jesus. You're not trying to get to Jesus, you're trying to go through Jesus. So which one is it? Are you getting to Jesus or through Jesus to get to God, like Jesus said? Right? So his own line, and when I explained that to him, he went into some rambling rationalization saying that no, Jesus is God, but also serves a different function than God. How can Jesus be God and also serve a different function than God? Just the amount of hypocrisy just spewing out of this man's face, and he would not accept what I was telling him when all I was doing was being absolutely perfectly rational. But he had a belief programmed into his subconscious that Jesus is God, and as long as you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, then you are saved. And if you don't, you're going to hell, which is a cult. It's a cult. You know why? Because you can't tell me that a PDF file that says, I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, is going to heaven, and then that child who grows up resenting the church and says, I'm going to be a good person, but I don't believe in Jesus because this horrible thing happened to me one day by a priest, that kid's going to hell. That's the crazy shit you're telling me, okay? There's no way you're going to convince me that that is truth. There's no, hey, Rainbow, there's no way that you're going to convince me that Jesus would have ever supported that, okay? And if you think that that's true, if you think that Jesus would have supported that, then you are either half brain dead or are a Satanist and don't even understand, okay? There is a reason why the church is full of PDF files. Okay, if you believe in these things as Satanism and Luciferianism and all these things, in my perspective, and I truly believe deeply in certain non-physical things, but I also understand that there are cults in the world on so many different aspects and dynamics, and that Satanism is a cult. And I wouldn't say necessarily that Luciferianism is a cult. I think that that's a whole thing, but I'd have to really get deep into explaining what that means. But Satanism is a cult, and these cults, the Rosicrucians, probably split off into different sects, which developed their own cults, right? And those cults infiltrated the church if they didn't create it in the first place and weren't there the whole time. Okay. And so good people go to these things since they're kids, and you go, you do your catechism and you get your confirmation. I did all that stuff. I did my catechism. I did my confirmation. I was baptized. I did my communion. I did my confession. I'm a godmother. Okay. I did all those things. If you think I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. And they think that they are following the words and the beliefs of Christ when they are actually following the Pied Piper of the Satanists that have infiltrated the church. Are we all following here? How many of you want to punch me in the face right now? Let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. All right. I don't know if I skipped anything here. Okay, over 100 food processing, Laura says, over 100 food processing plants have been destroyed. Yep. Killed millions of chickens because of the big scary bird flu. Yep. Among other mishaps with food processing production lines. Yep. And the recalls and the train chemical spills and everything else that they're doing to destroy the food supply. And they've been doing it for the last several years. So, let's recognize what's important. What's important is not who you're going to vote for. What's important is not whether you're on the red team or the blue team or whatever the hell else. And yes, there are certain aspects that are kind of bringing our energy necessarily in different directions, because yes, the food supply, extremely important. So is the abuse of children. But what's not important is the Kardashians, okay? What's not important is whether or not someone accepts Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, because you know what? Jesus Christ doesn't give a rat's butt if you say that, or if you don't, or if you believe it, or if you don't. He cares if you care that children are being raped. He cares if you do something about it. He cares if you're a good person. I do like vegan food, but feel like I need some animal products. Exactly, Anna. Oh yeah, my kitties are bad. Yes, Lori. Rainbow says that's been on one on my mind. If we go to hell, if we sin and aren't saved by Jesus dying on the cross, so does that mean every person in the Bible who did exactly every person who died before Jesus are in hell right now? Makes no sense. Rainbow says there's no reincarnation in Christianity, so everyone went straight to hell before Jesus. It's ridiculous. All good, girl. Tidra says God is outside of time. Well said. Time is something unique to our experience on Earth. Dang straight. Okay, Tidris gets it. Rainbow says they killed those chickens inhumanely too. They cut off their. Oh my god! Oh my god! These people are the biggest hypocrites on the face of the planet. They're pushing veganism, not the vegans. I'm talking about the World Economic Forum and everybody who's under their thumb. They're preaching like veganism, and then they're horrifyingly abusing animals. They're telling people that climate change is the end of the world, and we all need to give up our comforts and they're flying jet planes into the mountains, and then taking a helicopter to a helipad, and then taking like a freaking Range Rover or whatever it is, a Hummer, to their stupid destination that they could have had their meeting on Zoom, and why are they having these meetings anyways? They want Chrislam. Yeah, there's a one world religion coming, and it's going to be introduced to us as some sort of a world peace producing thing, but really what it is, it's Satanism, and it is control, and it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. They tell you it's just a whole big psyop. So they know that you want peace. The logical thing is to want peace. And they tell you, yes, peace is good. How we get to peace is you give us all your rights. You give away all your rights. You give away all your pew-pews. You start eating bugs. You all believe in the same weird satanic god. And you give up your rights to all your property. And you let us control everything for you. Yep. And so then we're going to save the world, guys. This is how we save the world. We save the world by you just basically giving up everything. Your life, your kids, your ability to reproduce, your kids' ability to reproduce. Just give it all to us. Just going to throw it in the trash. And then we're going to have the world that you guys want, guys, because this is what you want, right? So I'm just telling you how we're going to get it. We will own nothing and be happy. Exactly. By the people who will own everything and control us. That's exactly right, Rainbow. Laura says, yep, that in a new social credit rating system, exactly. Then the whole economy collapses, which is already happening, and they wrap it all up in kind words and make it sound all pretty and cool. Don't forget, cool. Yeah. Tisha says, if you want to understand the world, read the Bible. If you want to understand what is coming, read the Bible. I don't read the Bible, Tidris, because, and I'm not saying that you maybe you're right, okay, but I know what I know of the Bible is that the Bible was edited by a variety of people. So Emperor Constantine decided which, I believe it was Emperor Constantine, decided which books he was going to put in the Bible, and he incorporated paganism in with some of the Christian teachings and whatever else. And they called it Christianity and made it the new official religion. And he did that to control people. And this is my layman's remembering of what happened. Don't quote me. I might not be getting all the details right. So there was that major editing. Okay. There was also all the numerous translations that may have been poor translations and gotten things lost in translation. Then there were other translations, like there's the King James version, and there's what the NI 5 or something like that version, whatever it is, different versions of the Bible. So there are those versions. We're also changing the meaning again. Then there's the fact that you have these PDF files that are telling people what those passages mean. People who clearly don't actually have a connection to God. They very, very obviously and clearly don't have a connection to God. Why? Because if they had a connection to God, they would know that what they were doing, being leaders in an institution that was full of Satanists, is wrong, and they wouldn't do it. And they would be putting their energy into exposing it. But they don't, because they don't actually have a connection to God. And they're translating and telling you what to think and what things mean, and et cetera, et cetera. So are things there that are right and accurate? Most likely, but for a couple of reasons. One, and this is just my opinion, I believe that the passages in the Bible, the original writings, may have been channelings, maybe. Okay. And if they were, maybe they got some good information. Okay. Also, probably a bigger contributor is the fact that We don't live in a solid world. Like people, we don't live in a solid world. Remember, this is all frequency. We're only perceiving things as solid. We only perceive through our senses: eyeballs, ears, nose, mouth, head, like nerves, whatever it is. We perceive things. It's information. We think we're touching a thing, and then that information from our nerves goes into our brain and tells us what is going on and whatever else. Okay, there's that element in itself where our brain is determining what we think that we're experiencing. Then there's the fact that things are not solid. We think they're solid. If you pour oil onto water and they separate phase, in the oil might think the water is solid because it is laying on top of the water. It's like, no, this water is solid. We know that the water is liquid and it's not solid, right? So what we perceive as, if I perceive this as solid, I'm not going to get into it that way. We have known for a very long time that things are made up of particles. Then eventually they went deeper into particles. I shouldn't be explaining this. Everybody here should know this. Tell me here if you don't know what I'm telling you. Who here knows already that everything is vibration? Do you not know this already? We knew things were particles, not actually solid. And then we went into the particles and we recognized quarks. And then we went into the quarks and we recognized string theory. And then we recognized that the string theory was more than a theory, and it's actually true. My throat is dry. Should have got water. And we started to understand quantum mechanics. So yes, quantum physics. And what is on the classic scale and the quantum scale have different, they're just so incredibly different in terms of their laws. So in quantum mechanics, quantum physics, we recognize that something can act as a particle. So remember, we thought things were made of particles. And we thought something would act as a particle. And then eventually we recognized that something appears as a particle only once the wave function. So it functions as a wave, meaning everything everywhere. Okay. And then the observer, conscious awareness, our focus on that wave collapses the wave, and that everything everywhere appears as one thing, one place. So what we are perceiving now, everything is here and now because our conscious mind, our awareness is focused on it. We determine what is reality through our beliefs and our perception, our consciousness, our awareness, our observation of the frequencies that are everywhere collapse into the wave function that we perceive as a physical reality, but it's not physical. It is only our perception of it. And we can literally, we literally make reality. It's like there are, I don't know if this is going to be a great analogy, but there are radio waves all around us. Look around. You see songs? You don't see the songs, but they're there. You just need the transmitter, whatever, you need the radio. Turn the radio on, and the radio perceives the waves as something tangible, as a song. But the songs were always there, existing. And then if you change the station on the radio, it perceives a different song. You're the radio, and when you change the station, you perceive a different reality. So we need to start perceiving a different reality to change the world. You change yourself, you change the world. Why did I get on this tangent? Oh, we were talking about the Bible, that's why. Okay, so what I meant by all that with the Bible reference, 33, you see that? There's 33 people and 33 likes. Okay, what I meant by that was, if people are told, if many, many people over many, many years are told that this thing is true, that this Bible is true, and that revelations and blah, 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 and the end of the world is going to be like this and XYZ, and everybody believes it, what they're doing is actually creating it through their own beliefs. If a large number of people decide that there's going to be a mark of the beast, and then there's going to be the Antichrist, and then there's going to be this, and then there's going to be that, then they have the potential to create that outcome. It's predictive programming. That's why so many times something happens in reality, and then we go back and we're like, oh, they talked about this on The Simpsons. Oh, they did a movie that's exactly what just happened. It's easy to say it's because they knew that it was going to happen that way, and so they made the movie knowing that they were going to make it that way, which is part of it. But another aspect of it is the fact that they, when they say that they, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that right now. They need our permission to do what they do. It's not because of some weird religious thing. It's because they understand how this realm works. Shit. I don't know if you can see me. It says my connection is unstable. I'm going to wait till it says that I'm connected. I'm going to read these for a second. Can you guys see me? Oh, come on. I'll put my data on if it doesn't work. But, okay, you do see me? Okay, cool. Yeah, predictive programming. Part of it is because they planned on doing it like that, but they still understand how this realm works. They understand that our consciousness creates the reality that we live in. So if they put it in our subconscious, then we manifest that into reality. That's why they do it like that. Lost. Hold on, give me a second. I don't agree with the Bible thing. I'm wide awake. I know what's coming and I know what's happening. Never read the Bible. Was brought up Christian but never read the whole thing. Right on, Laura. Lori says, look up Gnostic Gospels. They make much more sense. I agree. I love reading about that stuff. Tidra says, religion is a social construct. There is only one God. Well, religion is a social construct. Absolutely. There is only one God. I mean, I agree. I agree with that. I have probably an elaboration as to what God is, because I think that our limited human mind understanding of what God is can't really express that. Okay, well, I don't think we really understand what God is from our perspective, is what I'm trying to say. We live in a realm. Exactly, Lori. Laura says perception is everything. That's right. That's right. Tisha says all the world is a stage. Yes, you're right. And you have to be able to see when people are on that stage. Right on. Lori says quantum physics. Yes. Anna says, I have to admit, I don't know physics. That's okay, Anna. Also, Anna, there's a difference between, I said that, classical physics and quantum physics, and it's fine. I didn't mean to say that in a way where, whatever. The reason is I repeat myself so many times over and over again about the same thing about quantum physics. I feel like you guys must have already heard this already. You guys must know this already. Double slit experiment. Anyway. So, if you don't know about it, heck, maybe we can do a different video one day on that stuff. Tisha says Chuck Missler provides a breakdown of the Bible that cultivate discernment. Right on. Lori says thoughts become things. That's exactly right, Lori. We are infinite beings and chose to experience the 3D world in a flesh avatar to learn more about ourselves. That's exactly right. Okay, cool. All I know is I don't want to be microchipped. Yeah, exactly. We're taking certain. Yeah, I agree, Laura. Not just that. Uh, dang it. Once again, it says that it's unstable. So I don't know if I am glitching out on your end, but I'm going to give it a second. And I'm going to tell you a story. What do you think of the Matrix theory? Like, oh, I am okay. Okay, cool. What do I think about the Matrix story? Like, glitches in the Matrix. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I, first of all, love that. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around them. I don't have the answers. I have speculations. I have assumptions. I have theories. I don't have answers. I think it's really, 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 really interesting. I think it's a really good way to wake people up if they're what the heck is going on over there? I don't know if I told you guys or who's heard this story before, but a few years back, let me close this because it's loud. Oh, I can't close it. Hold on a second. What's going on? Okay. So a few years ago, don't ask me for a timeline because I can't think of that right now. But a few years ago, I saw, I believe it was a TR-3B or a similar model, like a UFO, the triangle one, over my mother's house, and my multiple people who would never corroborate my story because they hate me were all there, and they all saw it, and they all admit to have seen it. Very physical, very tangible, right in my face, right above the house. So it was right above me, and people a few blocks down, several blocks down, saw it at the exact same time. And they were looking at the thing that was right above me. And it was really strange because it was clearly right above me. And they could still see it from where they were. And I thought that it was extremely synchronistic that they happened to be outside when I happened to be outside. And so that moment was so real. And yet, for whatever reason, you would think that if there was a UFO right above you, you'd be like, oh my God, and then go tell everybody and call everybody and be like, dude, blah, 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 this crazy thing. I was just like, cool. Put down the bag of litter that I had in my hand that I was going to go put in the garbage and walked back into the house. I was too scared to go to the garbage, but I was just like, it was almost like part of my mind shut itself off or something. Like I dissociated, and it's like I knew it happened, but I wasn't reacting appropriately like you would think someone would react to that. It took me like a couple years after before I accepted, oh my God, yo, that actually happened to me. And so I think that these glitch in the matrix things are a great way to wake people up, even though they might not wake up right away, even though it might just plant the seed and then it takes a while for them to snap out of it and be like, oh my God, remember we saw that bird that was like 4 feet above our head and it was just stuck in the sky? You know, like the video of that girl, there was her and her boyfriend, I think it was, driving down the street, and there was a bird just above them and it was just stuck in the sky, not moving. And everybody, like the neighbors, everybody was out there like taking pictures of it. Like, what is that? It was very obviously like a pigeon stuck, not moving in the sky. And the girl was like, wow, okay, I'm ready to keep driving. Can we go now? And I'm just like watching her do that. And the boyfriend was like, what is it? Just like really intrigued. But her reaction to it was almost like she was dissociating, because how can you see something that insane and just be like, that's cool, and then as if you're scrolling to the next TikTok on your screen, all right, well, I want to eat lunch, you know? there's something going on in your mind that won't accept that this is going on. So I feel like it's like we have these deep rooted beliefs, and then crazy things happen like that, and it's just like a little crack in the windshield, let's say, and then it takes time for it to like spread until the whole thing shatters and wakes you up. That's what I think. Yeah, what do you think? Yes, there's a war happening with the human soul. I don't think any of us know who or what. Um, Not is, I think we all just feel the presence, and some of us choose to ignore it. To just says everyone needs to develop a relationship with the one true God, and the Bible is a part of it. That I disagree. I absolutely wholeheartedly disagree with that, and I will tell you why. And I'm not telling you that you can't or shouldn't do that, but when you say things, blanket statement that everyone should subscribe to this belief system, or everyone should do this one specific thing because it will save everyone, that's a moment where you should ask yourself, is this true? um I have my own, okay, I want to explain this. Let me get to this, and I'm going to come back to this, okay? Because that's going to be a long thing I'm going to say. Remind me, guys, if I forget the whole Bible thing. Okay, Laura says, what or who God is. Okay, so I misread that. What or who God is. I think we are all just feel the presence, and some of us choose to ignore it. I agree with you, Laura, and so I'm going to come around back to this. Tisha says, who are you talking about inviting in your thoughts? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Who are you talking and inviting in your thoughts? Okay. That's going to be part of my answer, I think. Are there any books you're currently reading that you'd recommend regarding all this? I'm not reading any books right now regarding this, but I would recommend, as a source of information, Dr. Robert Gilbert, I think his name is. He studies the Rosicrucians. There is Greg. What's Greg's last name? Greg. The guy on Gaia. I don't trust Gaia for all their things, but Greg. You guys know what I'm talking about? Or the other guy. Hold on. Greg Braden. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Laurie. And the meditation guy, you know who I'm talking about? Pineal gland meditation guy, you know what I'm talking about. Hold on. Joe Dispenza. That's another one. Mark Passio. There's another one. Talked about that one last time. Yeah, so those are some really great sources of information that I would recommend. And remember to always use healthy skepticism, meaning take everything with a grain of salt. Don't put anyone on a pedestal. Even if someone has the best possible information, every single person that is a human, which is everybody who is here, no one is not human here, meaning there is no one here that is the one omnipotent creator. If they say that they are a cult leader. And everyone gets something wrong. That's just the nature of being a human. Okay. So that's one of the reasons it's good to take in information from multiple different sources. Laura, we do agree on a lot of stuff. The answers are within Lori, so I'm about to go on a rant in a second. Discover God on your own, not on someone else's terms, mine including. Right on, Tidris. I'm only sharing my experience, and that is valid. That is absolutely valid. Uh, I'm good with God. I already have a relationship with God. Exactly, Laura. The Bible warns us exactly what the church age is all about. Once again, read your Bible and study it. Okay, so I'm assuming what you're insinuating, Tidris, is that some of the things that we're talking about are also in the Bible if you read it properly and you don't just take some random PDF files perception of it. The education system is a program. Absolutely. Okay. Okay. So this whole how my connection with what we call God is. So for the longest time in my life, I had a very hard time with the word God. I've only started using it in the last few years. Um, I guess I healed my trauma around it, and I conceded to the fact that what I consider is going on, okay, is what people would refer to as God if they understood what God is, instead of thinking that either God is Jesus or some other man or an alien or um, some old man in the sky or whatever it is, okay? That image or whatever is not what God is. This is all my understanding, okay? And again, because I have a puny human brain, limited, that I will never truly be able to understand what God really is from this perspective of reality. King James version of the Bible is the only version that I read. Okay, I never believed that strongly in a book, and honestly, that's all the Bible is, written by man. To a large extent, I do agree with you, Laura. The Bible is a collection of authors. It is authenticated because different people in different times observed the same things. But what did they? Okay, so Tidris, this is interesting. What did they observe? Because is and how do we know that? How do we know that that's true? Um, we're being pushed to raise consciousness and evolve. Exactly, Lori. I've never found God in a book or a church. I found him on my way, and he opened up my eyes to the truth when I asked for it, and the floodgates. Did I read that right? For it, and the floodgates have never closed. Exactly. That's it. That's similar to what I experienced. I don't know if I asked to see, but it was my time. This is why I have, I guess, treated life as like a research project in a way. I take notes, I look at my experience versus what other people experience to see what are common themes that are not just applicable to my experience, because then that would be a thing. It wouldn't just be my experience, it would be a thing that happens, right? And so I think at this point that we both manifest our reality, and also certain things are fated or predetermined by our higher self. And I think some people would understand that as God, as our higher self being God, but God is more than that. It's way beyond that. But we are also all part of. I see God, the creative force, as consciousness in itself, and that we are all part of this fabric, and we're all threads in this fabric, experiencing these dynamics in different realms, as different perspectives on different dimensions of perspective, and then contributing that information to the collective. Thank you, Mike. I don't know how I deserve that, but thank you. Thank you very much. We are the universe experiencing itself. Exactly. So, yeah, I do think that there are set points that we, even if we try to manifest around it, that we're going to, thank you very much, Mike, I appreciate that, that we're going to, if we try to manifest around it, we won't be able to, because those things are set points and our higher self gets veto power. So we can try to, like, trying to think of a good example right now. I can't think of one. Everything's so convoluted. But when I started doing more meditation, I started having more awareness, more of a higher perspective on things. I'd see a situation like this, and then if I do enough meditation or self-work or whatever it is, cat hair on my hands, and then I would see it from a higher perspective. So I told you guys the last time about the whole difference between, I give you the example of the 2-dimensional perspective versus the 3-dimensional perspective. The girl with the square and the apples in the square, and to her a line is a wall and she can't access the apple, but from our perspective we can see into the box because it's just a line, it's not really a wall. Ah, thanks, Mike. That's nice. That's kind. And so I feel like when I meditate, I'm able to get a higher perspective on situations, and my awareness opens up to this broader perspective where I can see more and understand more. So if, let's say, you're having a disagreement with someone and you're really in your ego and you're really like low vibe, your frequency is vibrating down here in like a closer to, let's just say for the sake of understanding, like the 2-dimensional reality, you're going to see it one way where this person's a jerk and you're right and they're wrong and they hate you or whatever. And then when you meditate and you raise your frequency and you raise it to a higher perspective of reality, so like from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions with the apple example, and you're looking down, oh my God, Mike, what are you doing? Thank you. Thank you very much, Mike. That's very, very kind. I appreciate that. The kitties will be very happy. I will go and give them hugs for you. Thank you very much. And so when I'm in that higher perspective, I see things very differently, where I realize, oh, this person didn't hate me and they aren't a jerk, but what they're experiencing is that they think I hate them, or they are afraid that I'm going to do whatever XYZ to them, or they had a bad experience and I remind them of that, or they're insecure and they think that I'm better off being far away from them, whatever it is, right? And we only recognize that when we can see inside the box. We can see the apple inside the box when we raise our frequency enough to have a different perspective. And so when I get into those states of having a higher perspective, a higher vibration, and therefore a broader conscious awareness, in those moments, I have a broader conscious awareness of what God is. God is not a man in the sky. God is not Jesus. God is much more than any of that. And I can perceive of things that I may not even be able to put into words, because our language is limited. So a book telling me, a book and a man from God knows whatever year ago, and then all the multiple translations it's gone through and editing and whatever else, will never tell me as deep of an understanding of what God is as my own personal experience of when I go within and I raise my own frequency and I broaden my conscious awareness and I connect directly to what is outside of this realm and perceive it myself. Hope that made sense. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, again, that was really nice. A relationship with God is developed over time. The Bible helped me see the truth. It is not one day at a time or take a course type of journey. Relationship with God is like anything else, is developed over time. Laura says, I believe that God is speaking through us. It's the human awakening God consciousness. I love that. Lori says, speak English, Natasha. Lori says, we are the universe experiencing itself. Oh yeah, I read that before. Thank you so much again, Mike. Very, very kind of you. Dakota says, God's word penned by man. The writers of the various books in the Bible channeled the word of God. I mean, maybe it's possible. But what we can't deny, and here's the thing, and I told this to the guy in the Tim Hortons the other day, so this is a worthy point to bring up again, because he said that too. He said that the Bible was, I said it was written by men, and he said, but those men were inspired by God, were inspired by Spirit, and I said, so am I. But when I do it, you call that demonic possession. You tell me I'm talking to demons. But when a couple of guys from the year, whatever the hell year it was when the Bible was written, those very specific guys did the exact same thing that I do on a regular basis. And their words were the word of God that we should all live by unquestioningly. And when I do it, I'm talking to demons. So if anyone wants to explain to me how that makes sense, then we can talk about that. So do I say that they're not, am I implying that what they said was not inspired by God? No, I'm not. Could have been inspired by God. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was. But it's not any more valid than my own inspirations from God, is what I'm saying. And I'm not, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying is that I am like some messenger from God. I'm saying that this is an ability that we all have. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that I cleared that up. I'm not trying to start a cult for another couple of years. Maybe in a couple of years I'll start a cult, but I think now I just have a lot on my plate, Or so the Bible says I'm not into the Bible, that's all. Yeah. Just let people read it if they want. They don't or if they don't, they don't. Yes. There are good and evil forces at work fighting for our souls. It is important to make sure that you truly understand which power you are tapping into. Okay, so yes, and because I do believe that there are influences. There are what we would refer to as negative influences, fear-based influences is what I'm going to call it, okay? Fear-based influences and love-based influences and fear-based influences. So that is totally valid. The thing that I wanted to elaborate was I think it was the fight for our souls thing. So I do not agree that our souls are at risk of being lost. I think that was man that came up with that in order to fearmonger, in order to control people. Because if you fear that your soul is at risk, then you are going to obey the cult leader. It is a common cult tactic to make you think that some, crazy thing that you have no control over is going to happen to you if you don't obey this omnipotent leader. And I believe that our soul is indelible. I believe that our soul is here having this experience, as I believe it was Lori that said this, that we are here having this experience. we're learning and we're experiencing. And what people don't understand, they forget on a regular basis, is that we're not separate. We are all one. It's the fingers saying, I'm not like you. I'm not like you. I hate you. Oh, no, I don't want anything to do with you. My soul's going to be saved and your soul's going to hell. No, your soul's going to hell. You don't even know what you're talking about. And in reality, they're all part of the same hand. They're just dumb. And I feel like that's like what humans are. Humans forget that they're all part of the same being that is God, and they think that they're separate because that is the nature of this experience. And the purpose is to have these experiences of fear or love, or have these choices so that we can overcome the fear and learn to love in a tangible sense. When you teach people things, words only go so far. Experience is what teaches. So we can explain in words or whatever how to do things, but you really have to live it and experience it to embody that lesson, to truly learn and grow and overcome that fear or whatever else. And so I believe that in a sense, this is a game, a shitty game, a shitty, painful game, but it is a game that we play, for lack of a better word, to learn those lessons and to grow and overcome and to be stronger. And at the end of the day, whatever role we played, our soul doesn't go to hell. It left with whatever knowledge it did, and then it's gonna, come in for another round with hopefully more information and have a better experience the next time. And we're all collectively growing. We're all collectively learning and growing as a collective until we get to the point where humanity is less interested in enslaving each other. And it's complicated because in one sense, our conscious expansion, our growth in that sense, we want to love more, we want to fear less, we want to understand compassion more and empathy and be kind to other people. On the other hand, we also need that contrast to be able to have these experiences to learn and grow. And that's why I think things are cyclical. It's really annoying and causes me and whoever else to have an existential crisis when you really think about it. So it's dangerous to go down that rabbit hole. But if you consider the fact that we create our reality, okay, and everyone is us pushed out, okay, if you're going to go in that belief system, which I believe in the sense that if you believe that everyone is shitty, you're going to have experiences that support that belief. And I'm a absolute number one person that does that makes that mistake on a regular basis. Just go back and watch my last few videos. If you believe that everyone is judging you, you're going to bump into people who are judging you. You're going to perceive people as judging you even if they're not. You're going to have experiences that always support that belief. And so if you come into this realm to experience this game and you have lessons that you need to learn or beliefs that you have that you need to overcome or whatever it is, you're creating that contrast. It's not necessarily that that contrast was already there in the game. You create that contrast because it's a reflection of you. And so you need to change the contrast. If you overcome that fear, if I stop believing that everyone is judging me or out to get me or whatever, I'm going to eliminate that contrast because I won't have that experience anymore. Because if I change, it can no longer reflect back to me. It will only reflect back to me a reality that is a reflection of what I am. Does that make sense? No, Rainbow, you're going. You're. Oh wait. Oh, okay. I thought you said good night. I thought you were leaving. No. Okay. Yeah, the kitty's going to eat good tonight. Um. If you did I leave one? No, I'm thinking about that. If you believe thought manifests action, that's not what I said. As I do, thought doesn't. Well, hold on. Made me realize I need to ensure I understand who the power is that I have developed a relationship with. I don't believe that thought manifests action, but I guess that makes sense because you have to have a thought before you act. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misunderstanding that. Um, I was raised in church, and I know what and who I'm dealing with. Right on, Laura. Some people are demon possessed, and you need to understand for yourself that you are connected to the one true God. Okay, but so are they, Tidris. If someone is demon possessed, they are still the someone. They are still connected to God. And what's annoying to hear is that so are the demons. AKA lower frequency beings. I don't know, whatever. But it's all part of God. It is That's why I'm saying that God is not what humans think it is. God is not this. Okay, my brain's getting tired. I'm not going to get into that. Yeah, calm down my throat since I was a child. The devil runs rampant in the churches like the PDF files in the Vatican. Exactly. Sorry about that. Take your name totally wrong. Oh, it's okay. I'm saying it's okay. Like I'm Rainbow. Sorry. I was born into a Sikh family. I went to university and got some useless degrees. Then retired and actually started to understand who the one true God is. Okay. Lori says George Carlin called God the giant electron. That's interesting. We all carry a spark of the divine. Mike says, I'm back to work. Bye, Mike. Sorry I missed this until now. I'm sorry. But thank you so much for joining us in my crazy rants about things that probably make some people think I'm schizophrenic, but whatever. um, Organized religion has diluted many people. Jesus never taught this. He wanted us to be one with our Creator. Right on, Dakota. You get it. Laura says our tribe is here. Right on. It's nice. It's really nice. Lori says atonement at one mint. Exactly. Tidris, life is a journey. Take care of your soul. Right on. Laura says, what about the speaking in tongues that Christians do? I always wonder about that and wonder if maybe they're being possessed and they don't know it. I don't believe that they're being possessed. I believe that I believe that I don't know for sure, and I believe that eventually we will, have a deeper understanding about what that is. But to a large extent, I feel like it's probably a lot of gibberish, and so is light language. Just to be fair, I believe that there are beliefs, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my personal belief is that it's mostly, if not all, gibberish. And that doesn't mean that it doesn't have some effect because I believe that our intentions and our thoughts have an effect. And when we use sound to project those intentions, that it does have an effect. And so whether or not the word necessarily means something by any specific definition, like whether or not it's some kind of a secret angel language or whatever it is, doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't have an effect. It could actually have some kind of effect based on one's intention of those sounds. It's something to examine. I don't have the answers. It's just a theory. Lori says, I recommend looking into syncretism and etymology. I will do that. Thank you, Lori. JM Mobreeder. Jimobreeder. How do I pronounce that? I was raised very religiously. However, I didn't really have a good understanding of God and all of that stuff until I read that strange book that I found in a bookstore in San Diego called Urantia. That sounds very familiar, and for some reason I don't remember what it is. If you want to tell us what it is. Tidris says, your soul is the only thing you will care about. Get it figured out about before you leave. So here's a thing, Tidris, by the Rosicrucian standards, and by actually my understanding of it, and I agree with this, that what you just said is actually a Luciferian belief. In the sense, not in the sense that you should care about your soul, but in the sense that if it's the only thing that you care about, worry about your soul, and then, you go on, and you do your own, you protect yourself, do whatever, your growth, your ascension, your whatever, and never mind anything else. Whereas the Christ way is recognizing that we are all one collective consciousness and caring about that, having compassion and empathy, and doing the right thing for others as well. So I just wanted to make you aware. Lori says duality. Yep. Laura says, for sure. Okay, well, I don't know what I'm reading anymore. I'm reading a private conversation. What's going on? You need to leave this world thinking, I know who my God is. Don't leave yourself open to it, to evil. I disagree with that, but I support I respect your ability to believe that. I respect your belief. I just disagree with it. That however you leave this world, whether you believe in God or Satan or whatever you were confused about or whatever, that was just your experience in this lifetime. And, you'll have another chance to figure it out. I believe that when we hurt other people, that we are hurting ourselves, and that it's not as if like some we're going to get to the other side and, oh, well, you screwed up, now you get punished, blah, 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 or whatever it is. I believe that when we get to the other side and have a broader awareness, we recognize the pain that we caused in an absolute, the most direct way, as if it's happening to ourselves. And I also believe that you can absolutely tap into that even here. That when you hurt other people, that you can feel it, that compassion or empathy or whatever, you feel that. But when you get to the other side, there's no hiding from it anymore. And when you recognize the harm that you cause, you want another chance to undo the wrongs and do it better next time. Then you get here and you're like, and you don't remember anything, and you get kicked around and make a lot of the same mistakes. Step out of thought and observe the now. Right on. I think a lot about it is learning to love ourselves, right? Which is above a lot of other things in life. Right on. If you don't love yourself, you will be easy prey for the devils out there. Yeah, absolutely. Tidra says, love your creator, and you will find out how the love yourself dogma is just to distract you. I absolutely wholeheartedly disagree with you on that, Tidris. Absolutely wholeheartedly disagree with you on that. You loving yourself is the basis to being able to love everyone else. It is when we don't love ourselves, or we don't believe that we are worthy of love, that we hurt other people. Loving yourself is not narcissism. Loving yourself is not taking selfies. Loving yourself is not thinking you're better than other people. Loving yourself is understanding who you are, that you are worthy of love exactly as you are, that you are connected to the divine, that you are no worse than anyone else, that you deserve love and respect from yourself and everyone else. And if you don't have that self-love, then you're hurting. You're coming from a place of hurting. You're coming from a place of not feeling worthy enough. And you're coming from a place of lack of love. And in that place, that is where we try to get it from other people, from unhealthy sources, where we lash out at people from our place of pain. Loving yourself is the absolute first thing that you need to do when you're trying to get closer to God. You don't get closer to God when you don't love yourself. You have trouble understanding what God is. You have trouble finding God when you don't love yourself, because God is love. God is love. There's only love and the lack of love. So if you don't have love for yourself, then you are rejecting God. Laura says, I really try not to think about people that people keep showing me different. Oh my, oh, the plug fell out. uh, what are we doing? Where was I? I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do this. I really try not to think about people, okay, that people keep showing me different. Did I say that right? I'm really bad at reading. I'm sorry. God is that voice inside of you that tells you what is right and wrong, and you listen and act accordingly. Okay. Lori says, if you change the way you look at things, things you look at change. Absolutely, Lori. Laura says, already, oh, right on. That's a conversation to each other. The world changed us from focusing on morals versus values. Morals are absolute. What are morals? What are morals? What do you consider are morals? Because there are people who consider morals like people. I'll give an example of, within the Christian church, because that's how I was raised. Okay, morals are what is dictated by the book, or morals is dictated by your specific denomination of Christianity. Okay, morals. Some people think it's moral to make it illegal for women to get certain medical procedures. Okay, and that's their belief. Is it moral? What's a moral? Is it right? Is it right to believe, based on your dogma, that, or your cult, that it is murder for a woman to get a certain medical procedure, even if she will likely die if she doesn't, or the fetus will be born without a skull and suffer before its indefinite death anyways, or a variety of other situations where someone who is thinking from a different perspective would see that as compassion and empathy and the right thing to do, to give someone a medical procedure that is absolutely necessary and life-saving, and the one with the most minimum damage in the end. Okay, so what is a moral? There's either hurting people or not hurting people. But when you get stuck in rigid beliefs without the ability to perceive what is true and right and loving and compassionate in any given situation and evaluate the situation as it is, then you might think stoning a woman to death is moral, because a man raped her. And so she's a sinner, and therefore the moral thing to do is to stone her to death. So what is a moral? Either you do something out of love and compassion, or you don't. And many of the things that many people consider moral are incompassionate and very hurtful, evil even. There is no and if or okay. No. We're okay. I'm going to stop reading your comments to just because I'm not totally sure what's going on here, but are you trying to convert me? Are you trying to convert me? Like, what is going on here? I don't want to argue with you. I know that you have good intentions here, but I don't agree with a lot of what you're saying here. You keep pushing the Bible and you have rigid beliefs. And what we've been talking about today is cults and cult mentalities and the ability to think in any given situation and think logically and critically and analyze information as it comes and not have rigid beliefs. And when you say all you have to do is believe the Bible, everyone needs to believe the Bible, that is the absolute antithesis of what I am trying to say, of what is truth. And so I've stated that I respect that you have a different opinion and you're allowed to have that opinion. But when you go on comment after comment after comment after comment after comment telling me the same shit, I'm opting out of my conversation with you. So, you're welcome to stick around, but I'm not going to read your comments anymore. What part of Quebec is my favorite? Montreal, because it is the Englishest part of it and the most immigrant-oriented part of it, which means it has the bestest food. It has the best food in all of Canada, to be honest. And this has been a conversation I've been having with people. That people in Vancouver, I've heard people say, like, people here complain about the weather a lot because it's always raining and whatever else. And I've heard people say, the weather sucks, but, the food's good. And I'm like, what? What? You should never leave. If you leave, it will ruin you. If you leave, you will never come back. You will never be able to tolerate the weather here ever again. If you think you're tolerating the weather because of Vancouver's great food, never leave. Never. Not that anywhere else, and not that Vancouver has the worst food, but I'm privileged. Never go to Montreal. Everybody's morals are different based on their beliefs, and in the end, you got to know what's right from wrong. Kate says, is that perhaps confusing control with morality? What are we talking about, Kate? If you can be more specific. The problem with you didn't mean to send that. It's cringe, yeah. Montreal has the best strip clubs too, just saying. It does, which is probably one of the reasons why I left, because as much as you might have fun with that, I started this. One of the things that I was talking about before was how we live in a society where, people are being separated, the genders are being pushed apart because of all these stupid things that they're told to believe about each other. And this is the thing. I grew up in Montreal. It is an absolute shithole. It is, other than our awesome food and our awesome diversity and I truly did love the fact I love the fact that I'm bilingual. Well, I'm actually more than bilingual, but I love the fact that I speak, fluent French. I love, our Quebecois is, like, not French. We have our own language, it's like a secret code, and I love it. There was a lot of beautiful things about Quebec, but, it's like the what do you call it? What's that city? Las Vegas? It's like the Vegas of Canada, or like the toilet of Canada, anyway, in that sense, where people come there specifically to drink and do rugs and, to go see frippers at frip clubs and to do a whole lot of other things. It's like the capital of frime there. And, yes, I'm saying all these words wrong on purpose because as much as I've said a whole lot of words that are probably gonna get this video demonetized already, I'm gonna try to save it. But, it creates a culture where people have certain expectations. And so, in general, not everyone, it's very hard there to even get into a relationship because we have a culture where women are trash, meaning not women aren't actually trash, but that is like the underlying kind of energy there, in my opinion, where a lot of people call French girls sluts. You know what I mean? The word starts with an S though. We're the rose. We're the froze. I don't know. Like the fro train. Are you guys get what I'm trying to say? So people make these assumptions because based on the fact that we have the highest frip club per capita than any other city, and you're allowed to do things there that you can't do in other cities. It's a very, very dark and dirty city. And so that creates this environment where people are not seeing each other as people. They're seeing each other as it's a on topic satanic mentality. And satanic meaning like the whole nihilist, physical, do as thou wilt thing. It's I know there's a word and I can't think of it. I think you get me. So yeah, it's one of the things that I left for, and I don't think that it's a good thing to promote or celebrate. And if your mentality is there, you're gonna have to grow at some point. That's what I'm saying. You have to grow from that because that's not healthy. Your country boy cities are exotic to me. Are you from Boston? Because Boston boys have an obsession with Montreal and our frip clubs. Hold on a second. I agree somewhat about fortune. I think it should be a right, but I don't think it should be used as a control pill. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Millions upon millions of babies have been blanked because of irresponsible people. That is probably very, very true. But the way I see it is that the solution to that isn't to call people furterers and then blanket statement make it illegal, because some people absolutely do need it and some people are getting it for the right reasons and absolutely have the right to it. I think that if the problem is no one should be controlling women's bodies, period, point final. And if people have a problem with the amount of it being basically a service being abused, then what is the root cause of that? Why do people think that it's okay to do that? Why are they lacking that empathy? Why are they lacking that sense of foreseeing the outcome of their actions. And I'm not saying that, oh, if it happens, it's your fault and you knew that it was going to happen, because clearly I'm an example of that. But I think that there is a mentality in society that's becoming increasingly dominant, where nothing matters. It's the satanic mentality, and it's there being promoted. So they're promoting, one side is promoting empty, vapid, satanic promiscuity. And I'm not saying that sex is satanic. I'm saying that I'm using the term Satanism, meaning this belief system of sensory pleasures being the primary drive, and nihilism and all this stuff. That's being promoted in society on one side, and then you have the other side, that's the Luciferian side, really. And whatever, scratch that, we'll get to that in a different conversation. But then they're calling blanket statement everybody murderers. So then you have this dichotomy. There's no nuance, there's no sensible, rational discussion of what is really going on and what is really the solution. And then you just have two divided sides just fighting each other, and neither of them are right. Because they're not looking at the whole story. Hey, Alberta Schoolie Adventures. I, for one, could never have a baby again because I have bad health conditions, so I choose to make sure it doesn't happen. Yeah, I make sure I make sure for myself it doesn't happen, because I never want to experience that again. And I made the right choice. I know I made the right choice. I was being abused, and he was a psycho, and he was even abusing his freaking cat, and he had a what is it called when you can't go near someone? Restraining order by his sister for abuse. Just like, it was crazy. And the reason it happened was because he wanted me to get to have one so that he could control me and own me, and that happens a lot. And so I made the right choice, and I will defend that choice forever. It wasn't fun. Mentally and emotionally, it's not fun. And no one, I mean, maybe some people do, but most people don't want to do it. But I don't. I don't regret my decision. And if it ever happens again, I don't want to have that situation ever happen again. I don't want to have to make that decision ever again. Plus, I'm getting older, so if it happens, then I would probably want to keep it. But that I don't want to have a kid with someone that I don't want to have a kid with, and if I got graped, it would probably be a different story. I have to freaking do the litter box. But that's why I don't sleep with anyone. I haven't slept with anyone in many, many years. And maybe this is TMI, but maybe it's not TMI. Maybe we should be talking more about stuff like this, instead of just making as if in all of society is just a bunch of hoes. See, I absolutely arbitrarily censor myself. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing with the self-censoring thing. But instead of only having a very vocal opinion pervasive in society about how we should all be screwing everyone. Oh my God, you like that guy? Oh my God, you should totally go bang him. Yeah, because he's hot, and because you're free and you could do what you want. Yeah, you're free and you could do what you want. And I'm not saying that someone is bad for doing that, but how do you feel afterwards? If you're not personality disordered, you probably feel like garbage after. Or you feel great, but you feel attached, and then maybe he's not attached to you, and then you're going to feel like garbage when you realize that, there's all these repercussions that happen from being as promiscuous as the media wants us to think we should be. And we don't take connection seriously anymore. We don't connect with people authentically anymore. So yeah, okay, TMI. I haven't slept with anybody in years, and I don't care. It's a choice, obviously, because technically I could get it whenever I wanted, right? And I don't want to. Unless it's with the right person. Oh, I'm sorry, baby. Yeah, and maybe we should be more open about stuff like that, but we're not, because a lot of people, in my opinion anyways, a lot of people feel exactly like that, like this sense of, oh, maybe I shouldn't be talking about my personal life like that. But if I was like in that narcissistic mind state, or if I was like 25, I'd be like, or people who go on these reality shows on Netflix who are openly like trying to screw each other on TV. Like, that's okay, but I should be weirded out and ashamed of saying that I'm abstinent. That's freaking weird. That's freaking weird. Do you, but I should not feel abstinent for my choices. That's freaking weird. I shouldn't feel ashamed. Oh, you're a loser. You can't get laid. You're a loser. No one said I can't. I sure as hell can. Over and over by a whole shit ton of people. But I choose not to. Did I go a little far on that one? I'm leaving this live stream up. Yeah. What do we got over here? Talking about your discussion earlier on the morals, some beliefs that promote control of women, stoning of women in some cultures. Right on, Kate. Yeah, I get it. Totally. Morals or control, right? Chosa says Quebecois is the old French. French is in France has evolved. I find Acadien French really hard to understand. Everybody finds Acadien hard to understand. I think Acadians find Acadien hard to understand. Hobo code. I'm a country resident. Yes. Never knew that about French in Montreal. Dang. That's where my people are from. Now I'm ashamed. Girl, it's okay. I'm from there. Now I'm more ashamed. Okay. And men are taught to be players. Yes. Exactly. Men are taught to be players. Exactly. And then that leads to their own unhappiness. And they're like, why can't I feel happy? I like screw girls all the time. Why can't I be happy? Because you're not looking to screw girls. You're looking to have connection, but you're just listening to the wrong people who are lying to you. Okay. My boss used to say my perfume smelled like a French whore. I always wondered where he learned that phrase. Yeah. Like I said, I don't think it should be banned or outlawed. Yes, exactly. Yeah, we're on the same page, Laura. I just get passionate about I get passionate about things. And I wasn't saying that all people who do that are, yes, I know you weren't. It's just that some people do, and then I go on a rant about it. I'm not implying that you do. We don't know what anyone else's experience is. It's never wrong to be kind. Right on, Lori. It's not always easy though either, so there's that. Mostly don't, because I don't want to be used. I want to be in a healthy relationship. Exactly. That's exactly. I want a connection with someone. I want to be with someone I connect with. It does nothing for me to sleep with someone that I don't care about, and that, and I've obviously tried that because I for a variety of reasons, one of them being influenced by the media and society and people around me, and all it does is make me feel like garbage. So there's that. Don't even get me started on that. The media is ridiculous with Yep, exactly. All self-love is respecting your self-beliefs and values. Absolutely, Rainbow. Um, all they ever show is people jumping into bed with each other. Exactly. Uh, we should be more open. Oh, thank you, Kate. Oh, Keto Auntie. In relation to this chat, hello, Natasha and everyone. All good. Thank you for coming over and watching with us. I was gonna say thank you for coming, but if I left it there, considering the topic, I probably should just finish that sentence with a different word. Okay. I know someone who would, and yeah, exactly. If it's meaningless, it makes me feel like, and personally, yeah. Sorry if I'm like reading all mumbly, cause I am. Morals are what you need to focus on. Okay, fuck off. Earmuff / this video is gonna be absolutely demonetized, whatever. Okay, Tidris, I'm done. Okay, I'm done, and I'm okay. So here goes. Any mods in the chat, that would be Rainbow. You have full permission to block Tidris because Tidris is not listening. Okay, so I reached the bottom of that. And we've been doing this for 3 hours. God, it's dark. Was this live chat like a hot mess? I titled it mind control and stuff, and then like we did the first hour on not that or something. I don't even know what's going on anymore. Was this fun? Oh, good, Kate. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. Thank you, Lori. Great. Oh, great. Awesome. Okay, so if Rainbow's not here, oh, Rainbow, you have permission to block Tidris. Right on, girl. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that, eh? Okay, so maybe it was fun. Yeah. Did you guys want to talk about anything else? I don't want to force it if we feel like it's over, but I still got some steam left in me. I should definitely go clean the litter box soon. When I was alone in Despaircon, I was here for myself. No book needed. True that, Lori. Right on. Ow! We all have the ability to heal ourselves. Some guidance can be very helpful, but we can find guidance within. And also, when we do need guidance from outside of ourselves, we will find it. It will present itself to us in synchronistic ways. Okay, the Jackery is at 2%. And yeah, I don't know how much. Wait. Yeah. We are almost out of juice. So if I'll give it another 5-10 minutes. Great. Thank you, Anna. I'm glad you had fun. Are we talking about this individual that we blocked, Rainbow, or who's the naughty boy? No, it's a girl. Okay. This guy assumed a lot. I do turn to. Yeah, he did assume a lot. And he's got some things wrong. He's blocked from the chat, meaning we can't read his things, but doesn't mean that he's not here reading ours. So just be aware of that. But, yeah. I'm assuming. I think we all assume that. Pretty sure we all assume that. Not sure why. I'm pretty sure we all assume that. We are all on our own journey. When we judge others, we are judging ourselves. That's true. Nolly's a good girl. Not always. Most of the time. Most of the time, eh, baby? Mm-hmm. Did we miss something? You guys got any questions, or should we call it a day? Who's here? We got 20. We got still another 25 people on the chat about. I enjoyed this conversation with you guys. Whoever's here or watching this when I say this. I'm honestly surprised that so many people here are into this stuff like me. I appreciate that a lot. So I guess we're going to call it a day. Unless, am I not reading something? Do we have something going on? My connection is unstable. Let's see. Yeah, exactly. I think we all assumed that he was a dude. Okay, so I guess we're going to call it a day. I'm going to go plug everything in and try to get some work done and do the litter box. And that's all. Anybody got anything else to say last minute? What is that noise? What is that, like, tapping noise? Hey, Oreo! It's weird. It was this shaking on the window. That's weird. If you could pick any vehicle for van life, what would it be? I would probably get a reasonably, whatever is affordable to you, the best, lowest mileage, newest year of like a Ford E250 or whatever it is, and then put a high roof on it. That's what I would do. E250, E350, whatever you want, but get the, and then you would put a high roof on it. Because when you get a high roof, they're either extremely expensive or fully problematic. So just get a good van and then put a high roof on it if you want. If you don't even need a high roof if you don't want. Good night, Anna. I would want an RV, Rainbow says. I want a Honda Odyssey. Cool, cool. Oh, no, Nala, no, baby. Hold on. Okay. Okay, baby. Okay. All right, she's fine. All right. Just sold my house and trying to decide. Right on, Lori. I have not driven one. I just know that I've driven the other option, and I've looked around a lot, and also, been paying attention to other people's experiences as well. And yeah, that's what my opinion is based on. Also, we adapt to our circumstances. You probably need less room than you think you need. But also, in terms of a minivan, if like in my situation where I'm in a minivan in the city, it's a lot harder to cook in. I do have the rice cooker situation, but it's just generally a lot harder to cook in. Also, as I've said before, Teflon is not healthy and I don't recommend it. This is really my best option right now. And even if I get like a bagel at Tim Hortons or whatever it is, the paper that they wrap the bagel in is toxic. So it's like the only way you're going to get healthy food is if you're cooking it on your own and you're buying it from reliable sources, or you're growing it on your own, which is obviously why the goal is land, right? Okay. Any other questions? Yeah, I figured that's what you meant, Lori. Okay. If you have other last minute questions, go for it. Otherwise, we're going to call it a day because I feel like the chat's basically died out and I'm almost out of juice. After my 2 weeks of car life, I realized I absolutely need room for a toilet. This is the thing. You're going to learn as you go and you're going to make changes. So, one thing, just do it and just try something. And second is, don't over-invest yourself into a decision because you will likely change your mind. You'll likely try it and then be like, okay, now I have a better idea of what I actually want and need. Traveling Gamer says, dope, you're still alive. Oh, okay. I thought for a second you're like, dope, you're still alive. I'm like, bro, my life's not that hard. Or like, imagine, yo, dope, you're still alive. Okay, yeah, cool, man. We're a couple, so we need a little room so we don't kill each other. Yeah. Laura says, that's exactly why I did it. The 2 weeks. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it so much. I appreciate the chat. I appreciate that you guys are into these topics and everything. And you didn't rage quit. I'm going to go check my subscriber count after I get this and see how many people I lost today. I don't care. I love this. If you have any suggestions for topics for a future video or live stream, whatever, let me know. I think for the time being during the winter or whatever, I might make live streams a more frequent thing because I find they're fun and they're easy. And then go back to like the fully edited ones more often when the weather changes and I can start traveling again. So thank you. Say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Lori. Awesome chat. Have a wonderful evening. Okay, thank you guys. Talk to you soon. Thanks for joining. How do I do this? I can't see what I'm doing. All right. Bye, y'all.